Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to night 6 of Diddy or Didn't He? I am Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E-Galleries. We are RadioMisfits.com. Every night of the Diddy trial, we will be me or our panel shows. It'll either be a full rundown show where it's just me going through everything, or it will be a night like tonight where we have a full panel show where we'll be discussing not only the events of today, and it was a big full day today. 3 people took the stand and testified. We heard from Dawn Richard. Got to make sure I say that name right. I was saying it wrong the last couple of days. I was calling her Dawn Richard. Dawn Richard. I think it's fancy. However she's doing it in the fancy way. She's a former member of Danity Kane. She's got her own lawsuit in the civil. She's got a civil case going against Diddy. She claims that he groped and attacked her in a dressing room a few years ago, but she's also claimed to have witnessed a number of the beatdowns of Cassie. So we heard from her. She finished up 2 days of testimony with cross-examination this afternoon. She was followed today by Cassie Ventura's former best friend, Carrie Morgan. Carrie Morgan was a model. I think she also worked for Diddy in some capacity, but primarily for the purposes of this trial, she will be known as Cassie's former best friend. She testified as to what she saw. She witnessed a number of beatings of Cassie. She testified to that. And she also apparently was attacked herself by Diddy a number of years ago, but she signed one of them non-disclosures and got herself a nice check. So she couldn't really talk about that before, but she talked about it all day today on the stand. Also today, we heard from Diddy's former assistant, a gentleman by the name of David James. David James got up there and he didn't testify very long. We only got about an hour or so of David James. That's how we're going to start off tomorrow with day 7 of the Diddy trial. David James will be taking the stand again. All right, as I said, it is a panel show. So let me bring in our experts on the subject first. From the very popular television show Dish Nation, he is Head Crack. Hi, Crack.
What up?
Welcome back.
Great to be here.
Joining Crack on these panel shows will be James Parker. He, of course, of WBAP Radio here in North Texas, the afternoon superstar himself. Weekdays 2 to 5, 93.3 WBAP here in Dallas. Hi, guys. How are you?
Fantastic.
Great.
It's been a week since we last got together and had one of these full panel shows, and a whole lot has gone down. Guys, let me just quickly run down some of the things that happened today on the stand, and then after that, we'll chop it all up and we'll get into whatever thoughts we have on it. First, we heard from Dawn Richard. Dawn Richard, she was on the stand on Friday. She came back today. She finished up. She's a former member of Danity Kane. Now, I'm not familiar with Dawn Richard. James, are you familiar with Dawn Richard at all? Is she a name to you?
No, I kind of wish I did, but I can't claim I know.
I don't know. Crack, you Urban Radio, is she a name?
So I mean, on the strength of Danity Kane, they was part of that whole making the band situation. So I think they was probably like the third incarnation, with the first one being the actual group, the band. Then it was Day 26, then Danity Kane. And Diddy also did a spin-off group with her called Dirty Money. It was Diddy, Dawn Richard, or Richard if you're nasty, and one other female whose name escapes me at the moment. But very talented vocalist, and and just part of a wild situation.
So what sort of like demonic type of parties did you have to hold to get your show, Crack?
None. I just had to just show up, just be there. Like, it was
Isn't that
weird.
wild?
Like, it was weird.
People can be this crazy. And does he go to jail? No, he gets record deals and he gets TV shows and he gets, for 30 years, just gets away with it.
Yeah, that component is wild.
He might argue that he ain't gotten away with it. He might argue that right now the chickens have come home to roost, as they say. So, I don't know. All right, let's get back into it. So, Dawn Richard, she testified to a whole bunch of things. She witnessed beatdowns of Cassie. She said that she was, after witnessing one, the next day, her and the members of her band were secluded in a recording studio where Diddy made a threat that she perceived to be a threat against her life. Carrie Morgan came up. Carrie Morgan is a former model and former best friend of Cassie. Carrie Morgan came up. She says, Sean Diddy Combs tried to bust down the front door at the home of Cassie with a hammer. Oh, guys, here you go. So this is testimony from today about what happened after the hotel video. We all saw the hotel video. Well, like what happened? Like what was going on 3 hours later, right? Like did this whole thing calm down? So Carrie Morgan, I'm sorry, she was at Cassandra's home in the Hollywood Hills. Okay, Cassandra was at the hotel with Diddy, and while they were there, Carrie was staying at Cassandra's home. She says that after the hotel video, Sean Diddy Combs tried to bust down the front door of Cassie's home with a hammer. This was immediately following the infamous caught on video hotel beating of her. Ventura's former best friend, Carrie Morgan, was at Ventura's home when Cassie arrived with a black eye. This was about 30 minutes before Combs showed up with a hammer. He was hitting the door with a hammer to try and open it, Morgan testified. Morgan said she was terrified when she saw Combs through the peephole using the tool to try and break in. Now, remember, is this before or after he paid that security guard $100,000 to lose the video? I mean, there was a lot going on.
It's an interesting timeline because in what order do you do these unhinged things and then try to rehinge them?
Right, James. I think you secure the video first, and then you go chase after Cassie because you know where she probably went because you probably bought her that apartment in the hills.
Well, he's also not, thinking in his most logical, dispassionate state of mind.
But still, the question remains: what do you do first? Do you handle the video business?
You get the video.
But do you do it? Do you do it personally, or do you send one of your guards or
You send a.
Gotcha.
You send a guy.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that's that mafia thing. You need a certain level of plausible deniability. You need a filter between you and the actual crime.
Yeah.
Also, it worries me. Like, am I evil or are y'all asking easy questions?
Well, a little bit of both, but we'll continue. Let's see here. So he's breaking down the door with a hammer. Carrie Morgan said that she was terrified. Ventura, she described as looking very numb. Morgan says, I was freaking out. I don't think Cassie cared if Combs came in and killed her or not, Morgan testified. The scene unfolded after Combs was caught on hotel surveillance film viciously attacking Ventura in the hallway of the Intercontinental Hotel. David James came up. He took the stand. He's a former assistant to Diddy, so he saw a lot of stuff. David James was called to substantiate Cassie's earlier testimony that it was David James who helped her with all the freak-offs. Remember, we learned that Cassie was hiring the escorts and, well, somebody's got to buy the baby oil. Apparently that was old David James' job. So he took the stand today.
Well, one thing I found interesting, if you're Diddy's right-hand man, your starting salary is $70,000. You got to work 20 hours, 5 to 6 days a week for $70,000. And look, from 2007 to 2009, that's pretty good money.
First of all, I think you're always working if you're Diddy's assistant. I don't think you're ever not working. I think if this guy gets a bug up his ass and he calls you at 4 o'clock in the morning because he wants a Slurpee, I think that's your job.
But like, do you turn the meter on like, hey, this goes against the 20 for the week? Or, you know what I mean? Like, are you on call like a doctor or, do you clock in from like 9 to
I don't know, Crack. From what you've learned in the last week, did he seem like a reasonable guy to broker a deal like that with? I think
not so much. Not in the history of any of his deals. Every artist he's ever signed, like, switched religions or died.
I think if he wants a pina colada Slurpee at 3 a.m. and you're the guy that's going to get it for him, you're getting him a pina colada Slurpee. It doesn't matter if you're on or off the clock. Yeah, James.
Is Mace going to show up? Where's Mace?
Mace is doing that podcast with Cameron, and Mace also hates Diddy as well. He was actually supposed to drop an album the week the trial started called Diddy Do It. But
that sounds like it would be awesome.
We still haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, Mace can still rap mysteriously well. It's crazy.
Diddy Do It was supposed to be the name of this show. No joke, but it was already taken by like a whole bunch of other
Well, look, I don't know if you know Mace's background, but Crack, didn't he have such a crazy experience with Diddy? He became a preacher?
This is true. But I think some of it was Diddy, some of it was some other New York street stuff going on. Like, word on the street was he was getting extorted by some people, allegedly.
Okay.
So like the safest place to go is the opposite direction in a completely different field. So he came to Atlanta, laid low for a while, started writing for other people, got involved in a church and made his money that way. And now he's making more money than he's ever made doing anything ever, doing that podcast with Cameron. It's crazy how the tables can turn. And just when you think somebody's out the game, they're back in a different way.
I'm banking on it, Crack. From your mouth to God's ears, baby.
Let's get it.
Let's go. All right. James also on the stand today spoke a little bit about something I wanted to talk to Crack about because you had teased it earlier last week when you were with us. But James said that his boss, Diddy, James testified that Diddy once told him, "I've got Cassie right where I want her. She's young."
Wait. You're talking about me when you do that.
Sorry. Talking about David James.
Yeah, but you just said James like 5 times in a row. And they don't know you're looking at the drawing of some other dude on a grocery bag.
You know. All right, I apologize. Yes, David James, the former personal assistant to Diddy, testified that Diddy once told him, "I've got Cassie right where I want her. She's young. She's very moldable." James also told jurors that Combs... What's that? Go ahead, James.
No, I didn't.
Would you stop derailing me? I think most people are following along. Okay. David James, Diddy's former assistant, also told jurors that Diddy dated multiple women at once, but that his baby mama, Kim Porter, was his main squeeze. Miss Porter was his main girlfriend, James testified, before listing at least 3 other women that Diddy was with: Sarah, Tara, and this one's got to hurt, Cassie. Cassie lumped in with the other 3. Trial wrapped about 3 o'clock, right on time today. So they're going to continue tomorrow with more of David James on the stand. But Crack, I wanted to ask you, because I guess I'm just not all that familiar with the role of Kim Porter in the Diddy universe. Who was she? Who was she to Cassie? More importantly, what was there a relationship there that we know? Go ahead, Crack.
From the outside looking in, we definitely know that she's the mother of 2 of his kids. And the person who you would hear Diddy reference the most as probably
what? No sound.
Diddy, if he was ever to settle down, it would probably be with Kim, right? And when she passed away suddenly, you got to really see him talk a little bit more about that. But of course, you'll do that when someone is no longer here, and you'll say all the things you wish you could have said when they were alive, right?
Let me stop. Hold on. Let me stop you right there before you get too far down.
Cassie probably definitely viewed her as a threat, because when you see someone, I think the things. Okay, hold on a second.
Can you not hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, that's right. You can't. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. See, I had a question about Kim Porter dying. I wasn't aware. I knew she died, but we keep hearing unexpectedly, and nobody's ever really drilled down on that. So you want to try and reconnect? There he goes. Yeah, he's going to try and reconnect. That'll be fine. James, what do you know about Kim Porter, Diddy's baby mama, dying?
I'm not much on the biography and the backstory of that. But
me neither, but I keep hearing it mentioned, and every time it's mentioned, they say unexpectedly and then just move on to whatever. And I'm like, well, let's drill down on that.
Well, he is one of these people that have had quite a few folks pass away around him, but she died of the flu or something. So I don't know.
Yeah, something people don't die of in 2025.
Let's see. She was 47, died of pneumonia. That sounds awfully vague, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's too young to die of pneumonia without there being some other kind of mitigating circumstance, like she's battling cancer or something, Yeah,
and it was 2019, so wasn't the vaccine or anything fun like that.
No. Look, we can't even say, was she vaxxed? Can't even go there.
No.
All right. Well, we're waiting.
That is kind of suspect, isn't it?
It is, and everybody just keeps glossing over it, and that's why I was going to ask Crack more about it, since he probably has more information about that. I don't know. I don't even know who Kim Porter was. I was calling her Kim Gordon all afternoon on the rant.
Wasn't that the
Kim
lady
Gordon.
from the Breeders or Pixies or something?
It's from Sonic. Yeah, Sonic Youth. Yeah, Kim Gordon.
All right, so I had to look up racketeering today because I'm a smart ass, but not actually smart, so I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
Racketeering, organized crime in which the perpetrator set up a coercive, fraudulent, extortionary, or otherwise illegal coordinated scheme or operation to repeatedly or consistently collect a profit. So racketeering, is that the official word for when you say, I have these videos of you and I'm going to release it if you don't do what I say? Is that racketeering, or is that black? I thought that was blackmail or something.
No, racketeering is an organized conspiracy to commit something illegal. Now, that's not what you just read. But that's what I understand racketeering to be. Any sort of if you got a plan to do something illegal and you loop somebody else into it, now there's two of you doing it, that's racketeering. Now you're racketeering with somebody else.
Well, I thought racketeering was like collecting hush money, or collecting, like, remember in the Godfather 2, and the guy just goes from business to business collecting money, the one that Corleone had to kill.
Yeah, that is a part of it, I'm sure. Here, I couldn't hear you.
Because racketeering keeps coming up, and that sounds a little too organized for what he's doing. Like, I don't think it's the conspiracy part where there's other people involved that make it racketeering. I think it's the fact that he has a system by which he can extract money or, favors in his book in exchange for not releasing videos or leaning on them like that.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what Crack is doing. He's reconnected. Can you hear us, Crack?
Yes.
It appears he's in an elevator. How bad must your signal be if you sought the refuge of an elevator?
I found out the hard way that somebody had a class tonight and they needed to lock the door to the room that I was in. So I had to leave said room. And I don't know what audio infraction happened before that. But yes, I walked in on the racketeer.
Well, look, don't you sweat it. We will let you go. We will pick up this conversation at another date when you can do it, because it looks like you're walking, and I don't know how you're.
I was just putting my bag in the car. I was about to be very stationary. I didn't want to sabotage the experience. But and I don't know where you lost me on the thing I was talking about with Kim. But as far as Kim goes, that was definitely the woman that Diddy put a lot of equity in relationship wise, but not enough to marry. Which, I'm sure a lot of people felt a certain way about that. And I definitely feel like she was probably a threat to Cassie because she felt the love. Whereas, I think the things that Diddy put Cassie through with the freak offs and all this other stuff, he would never do that to Kim. And
that mother of his children, right? Mother of his children thing. That's a different lane.
Right. So, on one hand, you got this person over here that somebody may love and in a certain type of way. And you got this other person, this is my little freak play thing that I do whatever to. And I'm sure Cassie resented that because women, they all want something that is all theirs. And when you think you can get that and you'll do everything they ask you to do in hopes of getting that, and then and you really realize that you're not going to ever get it, I think you start to put some level of resentment, a high level of resentment to it.
So let me ask you this, and we talked a little bit about this off the air before we started recording here today, but last week we learned that the last time Cassie saw Diddy face to face, after they had the hotel incident, they broke up, they hooked back up, they broke up again. She's now with Alex Fine. She cheats on him with Diddy, but she goes back to him. But the very last time, since before now, they're sitting in court together. The last time that they saw each other face to face was when Cassie went alone to Kim Porter's memorial service, which I think was in Atlanta. Now, James, let me ask you, what the hell was Cassie doing going to Kim Porter's memorial after she had broken up with Diddy, after it had been, within that universe, it was well known that Cassie resented Kim for not allowing Kim's children to spend holidays with Cassie. That was a big thing that came out last week when Cassie they read emails that Cassie had written to Diddy where she's calling him, "You're no Bruce Willis, you're no Eddie Murphy. Why does Paige and Eddie get to spend with their mixed families? You never let me do this." So we learned that there was some friction between Cassie and Kim in life. What was Cassie doing going to that memorial? I think she was shit stirring, James.
She wanted back in. She has a husband. She has a guy that she's, now has a family with, and she was already going down that path. But some people just really want to be famous. They just really want to have a career. And we already know she was willing to put up with all that other bodily fluid stuff in order to just be in that orbit and be famous. So she was trying to she can't live without it.
But Diddy was there playing the dad. Diddy was there with the kids. He was wearing the black, crying in the front row with, the memorial for Kim going on. Cassie in this universe is essentially the mistress showing up at the funeral.
Every third lady there is probably a mistress.
It is, well, okay, but Cassie is but none are the mistress of the lady in the box, okay? That's why this is even more, in bad taste. So I guess, Crack, you and I were talking earlier about this, and, I came to the realization that, yes, we all see the video of Diddy being this monster, but there are no good people here. They all...
Not a one? No, I was saying not a one. There's not a one good person out of anybody in this situation. It's like the cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're all terrible.
They're all terrible.
Likable folks, but they're all terrible in their own way.
So let me ask you guys this then. We are 6 days in, 6 days of trial. How do you think it's going for the defense? Crack?
I think the defense mysteriously is doing way better than anyone ever would have imagined them to do. I felt in my heart of hearts going into this trial that Diddy was going to walk, and even more so because the defense is so good, and it also, and I will say, it also depends on how much of it rides on this whole Cassie component, because they definitely painted a picture of Cassie of, yes, a person who was abused, but they also, I felt like, painted a picture of a person who was an opportunist, who was also complicit and compliant in the things that she was being asked to do. Even with the Dawn Richard thing on a stand today, there was a lot of things. Oh yeah, I had forgot about these things. My memory got jarred after a while. There was so many things I couldn't remember it all. So she even comes off as a very sketchy witness as it relates to the prosecution. Yeah, you said you saw what you saw, but your story's changed up a few times.
James Parker, 6 days in. How's it going?
I can't stop thinking about Cat Williams on the Shannon Sharp podcast, predicting this all last January. Now he got the timetable off because he said this is the year it'll all come out, and it's been, like 14 or 16 months or whatever since he said that. But now you go back and he talked about how Diddy offered him millions of dollars for his backside, and it sounded like, wow, that's a funny thing for a comedian to say. And now I think everyone kind of agrees, or just horrifyingly has to admit, that that's a real story. Jesus Christ.
Hold on. Let me just interrupt you really quick here, because I do want to make this point. Coming up into this trial, we heard all kinds of rumors and all kinds of suggestions about Diddy's gay and Diddy's having this with this guy and he's joining in. James, we have not heard one lick of that in this trial. Aside from him liking to get stuff smeared on him in the privacy of a bathroom. That's
pretty gay. That is pretty gay. That's pretty gay.
As close as we've got. We have not heard about him joining in with male escorts and, having sex. Now, we heard Jonathan Odie, who is the crazy guy who tried to shoot up the Trump golf course, in his police interrogation. He said that he had gay sex with Diddy, but we've not heard anyone testify to this so far. So, James, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but please continue.
Well, there's the classic Meek Mill rumors with the old guy who was the security guard who put out his video online, but it was just audio. And
right, but these are internet rumors. Nothing has been introduced in court. They're not even going there.
Agreed. So, I'm not arguing with that. I'm just telling you where this is coming from, and it sounds more likely and stuff, because if he's into all this other stuff, it's not much. I mean, would a straight guy ever hire a male prostitute? Otherwise,
I mean, it's big cuckold energy that doesn't 100% make you gay, but it does put you in the driveway of it.
Mhm.
And then too, like there's an internet rabbit hole that could be going down, and I found myself going down this the other day, where they was saying that the real reason that Diddy and like Pac fell out was over the fact that they were in a relationship,
Cassie.
and that went south. And the thing is, like there's like mad pictures you can find with them
Look.
hanging out together, all palsy wowsy, up into a certain point.
Look, I don't know what kind of gay it is. All right, I don't know what kind of gay it is where you've got J-Lo and you've got Cassie and you got Kim Porter and this is assistant's name and two other girls that you're with. I mean,
Well-
Diddy obviously likes girls too. I mean, he's
Right, but if you do a guy, you're gay, whether or not it's exclusive. That's just the label we put on it. Well, and it's reductive and whatever. It sounds like he's just a sociopath who loves sexual domination for all the wrong reasons. It's not
that's
because like
Well,
sex
hold
is
on,
something different
hold
for
on.
him.
let me add this, because this is something that I was reading to some piece in the New York Times over the weekend that talked about something, and I have nothing. I'm not aware of this, but within the Black community, Crack, maybe you can help me out with this a bit more culturally, invested there, being a Black guy and all. Like gay isn't the same thing as in the white community. Like in the Black community, there is like this whole prison gay thing. That doesn't mean that you're a Nancy boy or you're gay. It's a domination thing. It's about dominating someone weaker than you. And this piece in the Times was talking about how that's what Diddy's whole sexual thing is. And James, you just said it. It rang true with me after.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that statement. That's not.
I don't agree with that statement either, man. Like, even if he was like gay for survival in prison, I mean, we might put an asterisk next to it. Just be like, okay, I understand. You don't want to get your teeth knocked out.
Well, I don't get it. Like dudes go gay in prison, and it's like you did like a 1.5-year bid. I could totally stand on my head 1.5 years without going gay. I don't need, you know what I mean? That's not long enough. Like if you're in there forever, okay, I get it. Go the Rick Speck route. You get yourself fake boobs and you become a plate. But my God, 5 years in prison? I don't need sex for 5 years. I went through the pandemic without sex. I'm fine. I can make it.
Yeah, but there is a weird small minority of like the perceived alpha male community, and this isn't race specific, but like when Kanye talks about humming his cousin until they were 14, it's like that never crossed my mind, So
that's
Yeah, I think with Kanye's situation, it's a little bit of a touch of hypersexuality and a little mental illness and just weirdness, but I think, because a lot of things are becoming more normalized, I think we're starting to see a lot more people operate in a space where they are more sexually fluid. And even by their own admittance, they wouldn't be like, I'm gay. But I think because, I definitely operate in this headspace. I'm a cave person from the 80s who sits Indian style and believes that dodgeball should be included in school still. So, I'm a little bit more rigid in my thinking, but at the end of the day, I've never felt any particular way about anybody who operates in that space because I'm not affected. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bother me. What you do is what you do. But, to me, I feel like, if a penis was introduced to me, like, my day would be
okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I've had plenty of opportunity. I'm an old man. I've had opportunities. I'm not gay. There's no, it's...
no one's hitting on me.
Nah, you got hit on a lot. I bet you get hit on a lot by.
It does make me feel bad if you don't get hit on, because everybody wants to be wanted just for the opportunity to be like, nah.
Yeah, it was nice. We once did as a radio stunt, we did a gay pub crawl, and we went from bar to bar. We promoted it so people knew we were coming, and I was very popular. And I was like, my God, I could do so well in this lifestyle if I just embraced it. I don't know. I like girls.
Look at a guy who was about to get divorced from David Geffen. Now, granted, like a lot of David Geffen's money was tied up in stocks, but this guy was 32 years old. Geffen is like 82. All he literally had to do was ride it out for another 10 years.
Better verb, dude. Better verb.
That's all I got, man. And
you could have used something else. You could have said like grind it out.
Okay, that also works.
You could have just bit the bullet.
All right, so let me
the
just
pillow.
give you my take now. 6 days in, I'm going to say the same thing that I've said every day after I go through each and every bit of testimony. The prosecution is failing miserably to prove their charges.
So what you're saying is you think Diddy's going to get
Diddy
off?
is right now. If it ended, Diddy would get off. Oh, you son of a! Look at what he did to me there. I walked right into it.
Yo, like a bunch of spider webs. You just
They
bulldoze through it.
overcharged him. They overcharged
Well,
him
look.
to get the headline grabbing life imprisonment possibility, and they don't have the
Yes.
horses to get him across the finish line. The defense is leaning into the fact that he beats up women. The defense is like, yeah, he smacked her around, and then tell us about when he smacked her around. You know why they're doing that? Because he's not being charged with that. They don't care. He's being charged with being some international global kingpin, and they don't have one lick of evidence so far to back that up. Somebody said last week, this is less a case against a man for criminal conspiracy and more a ritualistic display of humiliation. That's what it is. He's just being humiliated. All of his dirty laundry is being brought out, but he's going to walk. He's going to walk.
I agree.
I'm kind of I'm leaning toward that too, because being a freak's not illegal. Being into those weird body fluids or gay or cuck or whatever, none of that's illegal. I had to Google the charge that might stick on him, racketeering. And, if it's not winning me over, is it going to win over a jury if they have to go to such a nuanced charge that they don't even know what it is? Does anyone really even know what racketeering is?
You know what is illegal? All of the testimony we've heard of him beating the shit out of women. That is illegal. But unfortunately, the jury can't consider that because that's not one of the charges. God,
well, and they're not
And they
supposed
cast
to.
out.
We're not just supposed to show you a bad guy, and we'll tell you some stories, and you figure out what you want to charge him with. They've got to get him on this racketeering stuff. So unless he's roofing people, or unless he's bringing people across state lines that are being paid for sex, or unless there's a underage person involved, I don't think anything here is going to put him away.
Some of that is literally the thing, and I don't know if they'll eventually get there, but there has been stories about where they'll be in a club, they'll have certain bottles, right? And these are the bottles that are just regular, and these other bottles had whatever liquid form of ketamine in it, or that might even have been the pink cocaine that they was talking about. This is drugging people. That's that drugging people charge that you're looking for. The sex worker who came to do whatever he did with Cassie, did that person travel across state lines? But then, by that, a lot of us are sex traffickers, because I'm sure we all at some point or another like the chick that we met online and pay for her to fly down, for whatever reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's such a gray line or gray area on that situation. Did he personally hand the money over? Was there a middle person? Where are the other people? I think Diddy will get more time for stealing cable than he will with the charges
that is how James is asking about racketeering. That is how they fold in racketeering for these mafia dons who use layers of insulation between doing the deed. Did Diddy give them money to fly them in to have sex? No, but a middle person did, and that middle person being involved is where they hang the racketeering charge, because now you've got a conspiracy among a group of people to commit a crime. So that's my understanding of what the racketeering charge is. But doesn't matter, because they're not proving that. And you're right, all of this stuff crack has been dangled, but we're a week. I know we're just a week in. It's expected to be a 6 to 8 week trial. We're a week in. We have not heard any of this evidence. What we've heard is establishing that these freak-offs were really perverted and that there was an environment of drugs. But he's not charged with drug possession, okay? He's charged with using drugs in order to enslave people, in order to make them sex slaves and sex trafficking them. And so I don't know. A dream team. This is another dream team just killing a state prosecution. James?
Did they establish whether or not there really was Rohypnol in the baby oil? Because I didn't know it could be a topical. I didn't know, not to be a smartass, I just didn't know it worked like that, because I've always been putting it in my wife's drink.
No. No, James, they have not established that. They haven't. You're right. That is something that they said, but no, there's been no mention of drug. It was brought up, and Cassie said that the only thing that she ever did was heated up the baby oil. So even Cassie herself said that she was not under the belief that there is any rohypnol or anything like that mixed into the baby oil.
Are you supposed to be heating it up? I guess that makes sense because if it was like winter, it might be really cold, and that sucks.
I don't know, man.
How nice of them.
Yeah, nobody was cold oil.
They showed his hotel room at the Park Hyatt where he was staying when he was finally arrested. Now, he came back to New York and checked into the Park Hyatt specifically because he knew he was going to be arrested. And he was going to be there working it out with his lawyers, and he was either going to turn himself in. But that's where his lawyers told the feds he was. He will be here. We don't need a big scene. You can come and arrest him. All right. Everybody knowing that. He was arrested on the street in front of the Park Hyatt, and then the police raided his hotel room. He knew the police were coming to arrest him. They found all kinds of drugs and shit in his hotel room. The fuck is this guy doing? That should be the cleanest hotel room because you know the police are going to show up and arrest you. But today they showed it in court. Bags and bags of pink cocaine, bags and bags of pills, bogus prescription bottles made out to someone named Frank Black. I mean, my God, these just...
You mean like from the Pixies?
That's what I said, like Frank Black.
Wait, there's a person in the Pixies named Frank Black?
The lead singer, yeah.
Okay, because Biggie used to refer to himself as Frank White, which is also the name of Christopher Walken's character on King of New York. I was trying to put the connection together there.
No, he's an alternative icon. Black Francis of the Pixies, or Frank Black. All right, guys, what else do we got here? Let's wrap this up for tonight. This was nice, easy lifting. I always love when we have the good panel show. You guys, I appreciate you making your time available. Thank you so much. Anything in closing? Crack?
Anytime.
What do you got?
Yo, man, I just can't wait to see where this goes for the rest of the week and what other pop-up surprise guests that we have. It is wild and crazy times out here in these streets. And, yo, man, like, that much baby oil, for real?
He had tons of baby oil in the Park Place Hyatt Hotel. I mean, they just showed bottles and bottles of he's incorrigible. James, anything in closing?
Yeah, I have a couple things. Number one, when they raided his house, 748 toys. And so if you count up the average attendance at a freak off with 70 people, so that's 10 toys per person. However, if you break it...
What? Hold on, say that again. How many people had freak offs?
Around 70.
What? We've never heard a number even close to that. We've heard like 3 or 4 at most. Freak offs were private.
3 or 4.
Yeah, freak offs were private.
Oh, they were private? They didn't have everyone back to his little island home in Miami? And there's a bunch of people?
No, those are white parties. You're conflating white parties, which were big public events. And yeah, probably some freaky shit went down afterwards. You're conflating those. Those, I think, happened like bi-yearly, the P. Diddy white parties. The freak-offs were just things that he did privately in hotel rooms with Cassie and male escorts. Yeah, there wasn't a whole bunch of people involved. At least not that we've heard so far.
You done stepping on my final lines there?
Well, if you're wrong, hey, man, look, I spend all morning going through these things. I want to make sure we get the right info out there. But go ahead. I'm sure it was funny.
Okay. Well, I have seen reports that at some of these wild parties, a regular attendance would be 70 people. That would be 10 toys per person. That would be 4 toys per hole.
Okay.
Look at Crack doing the math real quick. And that's too much for me. I never go to a party that has more than 2 toys per hole.
He's working on stand-up, ladies and gentlemen. That's James Parker, 93.3.
Stop stepping on my jokes.
Well, I had to correct you. And you know what? If you do that on stage, I will be in the crowd to correct you. Say, no, sir.
Why is that important?
Extremely important.
You think I'm going to get sued over my whole joke?
No, why? It is extremely important because when you see...
Yeah, you got to maintain the journalistic authenticity of the whole joke.
No. Look, it's a funny joke.
Damn it.
Sir, I
It's
have
a funny
changed.
joke for ignorant people who don't know the facts. If you're comfortable with that, there you
Of course. That's who I wrote it for.
go. All right.
You wrote it for the
All
court
right.
reporter?
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Maybe we
Easy
get you
does
back
it, man.
again later this week, but I appreciate it. We'll do another panel. You guys both up for it? I hate to put you on the spot like this.
Down for it. Wednesday's bad. Anything else is negotiable.
All right, there he goes. That's Headcrack. Check him out on Dish Nation every night, Monday through Friday. James, find him. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I stepped on your joke.
No, don't even tell him after all that. I don't even want him to know.
It was a faulty premise for the joke. I'm sorry. There he goes. That's James Parker. We do this every night. If you want to watch the video version of this, you can go to Radio Misfits on either Facebook or YouTube. That's Radio Misfits. Or you can just listen to the podcast, radiomisfits.com, or anywhere you find your podcasts, the Apples, the Spotifys, all of those places. I am Pugs Moran, inviting you to join me for my daily talk show, Talk Radio for Normal Americans, every day around about 2 o'clock, right here on radiomisfits.com. It's talk radio without politics. We don't do politics. We do a lot of silly stuff and just nice lifestyle talk every day, Monday through Friday. It's The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, right here on radiomisfits.com. Follow, subscribe, all of that stuff, and tune in tomorrow for another recap of Day 7 in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Bye, everybody. Thanks a lot. Pugs Moran for radiomisfits.com.